Hey everybody, and welcome to Revisiting the MCU, the series where I turn back the clock and revisit every single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie in release order, and then at the end of this series we're going to be ranking them from worst to best, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But today we are talking about the biggest little hero that could, Ant-Man. This movie is actually about the second Ant-Man, Scott Lang, who is a thief given a suit that can shrink down by the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, in order to stage a heist to stop this revolutionary technology from falling into the wrong hands. And I still remember when this movie first came out, I wasn't that excited about it, mainly because Edgar Wright left the project. He still gets a writing credit in this movie, but the only real draw was Paul Rudd, which I absolutely adore. But the most part of the movie I thought was okay back then, and it's still fairly okay to it's fairly decent today. As I said, I love Paul Rudd, and he's absolutely fantastic, and he easily portrays the lovable smartass character that I believe is just his nature. And in this movie, Rudd is able to do it all. Be smart, funny, charming, and kind of awesome at the same time by kicking ass when needed. I have no complaints here. Michael Douglas plays the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, who is kind of an ass himself, but also gives the typical old man, get off my lawn vibe, which is fine for the narrative of the movie, but after a while you kind of get it and his character doesn't serve much of a purpose other than to mentor Scott. Evangeline Lilly is Hope Van Dyne, Pym's daughter, who is secretly working with him to steal the tech back, but also working for the bad guy, but that's only pretty much to spy on him. She's pretty decent and can do pretty much everything, but her dad won't let her in hopes of not losing her like he did with her mom. Corey Stoll plays the villain Darren Cross, aka Yellow Jacket, and this is probably one of the worst villains in the MCU in my opinion. He's the stereotypical take over the company, discover technology, I will now take over the world using technology type of guy. And don't get me wrong, Corey Stoll does a decent job, it's just the villain sucks and one-dimensional. But of course the MVP of this movie, and let's say it all together, is Michael Pena as Louise. He's hilarious and steals the entire movie with his retelling of how things happen. His delivery is impeccable, and he's probably one of the two things people will remember about this movie. In terms of visuals though, I have to give it to this movie, it's actually a lot of fun. The fights are basically like watching the Black Widow hallway scene from Iron Man 2 on repeat, but it's only one person because the other one is super tiny. I also love the imagination that it took for certain scenes to happen, such as the entire gag with the keychain Hank carries around, or the train fight scene. Just the overall use of how these small characters fighting or doing things look so silly to the average human eye is brilliant. The CGI of the movie is also pretty cool. This movie actually kind of gets you to care a little bit about the ants, which is something you never really expect. You're usually just like, ew, ants! But the way they're able to shrink down and have you see the visual shrinking lines is pretty cool, and the use of the quantum realm at the end is trippy but visually amazing. Overall, Ant-Man is actually a fairly decent movie. I wouldn't say it's probably the best, it's one that you typically would throw on in the background while you're doing something else. It's not something that you have to pay a lot of attention to in order to get the understanding of the character or who he is later. Just the fact that he shrinks and can do other things, that's kind of all you need to know. There's really no repercussions or added story beats to this movie. It's good for a laugh or two, a good action scene here and there, good visuals, but for the most part, you don't need to pay attention to it to understand his character in the franchise later. So those are essentially my thoughts on Ant-Man. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below, and let me know who your favorite character or what your favorite moment was. And also while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss on any future videos that I may post, whether it be this series or any other random video I may make. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.